Welcome back to part 6 of a fast conversation about the Fast and Furious. I'm Korbin Zvokel,
I'm Jackson Mahuron.
and we're almost halfway through. Well, we're just over halfway through. I guess officially there's 11 movies, so we're at the 6 out of 11 point. And how you feeling discussing
Oh,
Fast and
almost
Furious?
through it. I feel
Almost
good.
through it.
This one, story wasn't great, but the action was there. Like in your background, even we got the most amazing moments from the movie, I would have to say.
Yes, this we will talk about this for sure.
Perfect.
The quality of these movies continues to decrease from this point, but I think the action
Cool.
becomes only more and more absurd, trying
Yeah.
to outdo the previous movie. We've got the tank in this one, and just wait to see what happens in Furious 7. But first, let's talk Fast and Furious 6 for exactly 10 minutes in 3, 2, 1. All right,
I gotta talk about this scene really quick
break it out. Let's hear it.
because I went on we had to pause the movie last night, and I was like, Captain America doesn't do these kind of feats in the Marvel movies. Like, he is doing Spider-Man level stuff, and it's just Dom Toretto, guys. Like, he's not a superhero, but we're really treating him like one in this.
Yeah, I mean, so he jumps from like out of a car
A
from
moving
one side of a
car
freeway,
he
catches a
jumps like
woman
2 lanes of a highway, catches a woman
over
midair.
a bridge that is
It's
suspended,
insane.
or like there's a cliff beneath, whatever.
Yeah.
Catches Letty and then lands on the hood of a car, and he's fine. He just
It
gets up.
breaks
He's
like the
okay.
windshield, and they're
Yeah,
like, all right.
yeah, it's all cool. Um, yeah, Dom Toretto. I mean, he is an absolute god. I mean, he's been known to like grab people and catch people. That's
He
kind of his
does do that.
specialty. But the launching himself, I mean, that's
And
a
to be
lot.
fair, in this movie, like The Rock was jumping down multiple stories onto moving cars, like, and then like Letty did it at one point too, and it's like, all right, I guess this is what we do now. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
the one thing that I do like about this movie is that they like kind of acknowledge the absurdity of it to a certain degree. You
Mm-hmm.
even have like after their first run in with the Shaws, or with Shaw and his crew,
Mm-hmm.
Tyrese is like, dude, what the fuck? My car flipped over. This is like some James Bond shit. And
Yeah.
then even later, they say to Dom, they're like, you started out robbing DVD players in Los Angeles, and then you stole $100 million from the Brazilian
Yeah.
cartel, and now you're trying to fuck with me? Like, come on. But
Insane.
it is some really good action for sure. Let's start with the beginning of the movie, which because I think it's interesting. Instead of opening with a big heist, we have a race between Dom and Brian, but
Yeah.
it's a race to get to a birth, which is a little
It's
bit of a switch up.
yeah. Amazing.
What do you think about the entrance of the baby into the franchise? I mean, it didn't get a lot of love in this picture.
No, the baby's fine. I remember seeing clips from other movies with the baby, and now I'm realizing that that might be this baby, which is like super weird and awesome. Uh, I think, I don't know, maybe. And the baby looked really old for how old. Like it looked like a 1.5 year
It
old.
was in there for a while. It was longer than 9 months.
That baby was
Extra gestation.
gestating for sure.
I do love the Vin Diesel. As soon as you walk through that door, your entire life's gonna change. Like you can't, and then like, no, that's not true. We're gonna go back and start doing car shit
And then
right away.
like Vin Diesel like being like, oh, he's gotta love American muscle. Like they're trying to
It's
like,
the whole thing through the movie. That's their competition. Oh, he's a
he's
Toretto.
gonna love this car right here. It's so funny.
And then right after that, we get a title sequence
Mm-hmm.
that's like replaying all the moments from the previous
Oh
movies
yeah.
with a fantastic song underneath, a little Wiz Khalifa ludicrous action. I think the best song of all the Fast and Furious soundtrack songs, and I think maybe the best soundtrack. I did have this one
Wow.
on CD,
Really?
was playing it in the car for quite a while following the release of this film.
Wow. I mean, I still think Tokyo Drift takes the cake on the soundtrack, and that's like the only redeeming thing about that movie.
That
So,
is fair. That is fair. I will say, like, I saw this movie like Fast Five in theaters, but the thing
mhm.
was, I had seen Fast and Five. I had seen Fast Five in theaters. I saw that post credit scene. I had to wait a year or however long to find out how Letty was back and alive. So, like, I would say this movie and seeing this movie was probably the most hype I was ever about this franchise. Like this
Interesting.
moment.
It is a
Um,
twist for sure.
I don't think it necessarily lived up to it.
No, not really. She just
um,
forgot.
yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Letty's death. I mean, obviously, I think it's great that they bring her back. Bring her back. We talked about how it's a little bit of a fridging scenario in Fast
Yeah.
Four when they kill her off. But yeah, just talk to me. What do you think about her return to the franchise and her use in this movie?
Well, I do think it's really funny that like Vin Diesel, first of all, is like back with the cop from the last
Elena,
movie.
yeah.
And like then like halfway through, I was like, wait, what about her? And then like at the very end, it's like, it's okay. And she's like, thanks for keeping him company while I
Yeah,
was gone.
the whole
And they
thing
were
is that
fine with it.
she's like hanging out with Mia, watching the kid, basically, I guess, playing housewife.
So
and
weird.
then and then yeah, she comes up and he's like, you could stay, you know.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Nah,
He's
I'm gonna
like,
leave.
hey, come on,
Even
keep in
and
the family, you know?
Tyrese and Ludacris was like, oh, now that's hot.
Their dynamic in this movie is amazing too. But yeah, back to Letty. I think you know, like the whole like, oh, I just didn't remember was like fine or whatever. But like whenever they switch teams, now that was like, ooh, I'm on board for that. That was pretty good.
Gina Carano, big
Yeah.
fan of hers, right?
Well, because I remember whenever the title was going on, I was like, Luke Evans, and I was like, Gina Carano. I was like, oh, what?
But
She
hey,
looks way different, by the way.
she does look way different.
Like a
She's
regular
a
human.
she's a
In this
villain
one.
though, just like in real life.
That's
So
true. I
not
gotta
a
say
great
though,
twist.
the she is very good at like action, like fight choreography stuff. Like you can tell that wrestlers are in this project because like the hand-to-hand combat in this movie, I think is pretty decent.
It's really well done, and there's some cool like moments. Like it's done throughout the franchise. I love the like tunnel subway chase scene
Yeah,
fight,
that
and
was really
then
good.
uh, Tyrese and Han get their fucking shit kicked out of him, and then
Yeah.
like, let's never talk about this. I will say with Letty's death scene, they like explain how it happened, but it still doesn't really make sense because they were like, he's like, who did I bury? And he's like, I don't know. It wasn't Letty. And then Mother's Milk or whatever, like it shows the
Mother's
scene
Milk,
again
yes.
where he like shoots the
And he
car
shoots
and
the
she
gas.
flies off down the cliff. But then they're like, yeah, it turns out she was fine. Like she was we found her in a hospital 2 days later. And it's like, you
Yeah.
didn't go check that she was dead. Like why? Just bad work from them all around.
Amnesia, just the best trope.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic move. At the end of this movie, she doesn't remember still, which will be interesting to see how that plays out moving forward for you.
Yeah. It's a real Gamora situation, you know.
What do you think about Luke Evans as a villain? I know you said you were excited to see him in the title card.
You know, I was confused because I was like, I
This
don't
guy
think
Shaw?
this is. I was like, when Shaw showing up? Because I must have missed them calling him Shaw for a while, and then like halfway through the movie, they're like Shaw, and I was like, oh, I guess he's Shaw. Yeah, it's fine. It's
The
like his
brother
brother,
fake out.
right?
Yeah.
It's cool. I mean, he's a good actor, and he looks like a bad guy from a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
got that sick car that flips stuff. That's awesome.
yeah, obviously, like when you look at the franchise as a whole and like what the Shaws become and will become over the next couple movies, this is kind of like a weird transitional in between one where it's like he's the fake out for the real big bad that we're about to see.
Great.
With the other Shaw, he does mention his brother early in the movie where he talks about having a code. I actually really like that scene between him and Dom. You know, he talks about how his code of family is going to end up hurting him, and it does when Mia gets captured. And then this whole idea of like Shaw's code being precision and you know, whatever costs. And then of course you get the great sniper standoff to finish it off as well.
Yeah, insane.
Post credit scene. Did you watch it?
Yes. Yes, and they recontextualizes Han's death. It
Does
kind
it
of
all
works
make
for me.
sense now?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, like, sure. Like, it's stupid, but like I gotta say, I actually didn't mind it as much as I thought. Like, I thought it was gonna bother me way more, but that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is definitely a cool moment where like they're connecting everything back together. Giselle obviously dies. Gal Gadot gets killed in this.
Which insane also. Her death is so funny. She like jumps off of this moving car and is like shooting, and then she just kind of fades into gray. Like you don't see her like hit the ground or
and
anything.
then Mia's like, where's Giselle? And everyone's like, oh shit, she is gone.
Also, did not realize she was Giselle until after she died, and they were asking for it. And I was like,
You
I
didn't know
guess
her
that's her name. I didn't know. No.
Fair enough. Any final thoughts about this movie? What else you got, Jackson?
I laughed so hard when the plane exploded and then Vin Diesel just shoots out in his car. Super badass. And then immediately he's turning, he's falling, and it's just spinning. And it was so cool. And then immediately not cool in a funny way that I just loved.
The last thing I want to talk about, the final scene where they're all back together at the house, The Rock pulls up, he goes, Ludacris goes, "Hey Mia, you better hide the baby," or Tyrese goes, "Hey Mia, you better hide the baby oil," and Dwayne Johnson goes, "You better hide that big ass forehead." Improvised line from The
Abby
Rock.
told
in
me
that
about
moment.
this.
Ludacris
I knew.
actually did a spit take. So there you go. Shout out Abby.
It is funny, yeah.
Classic.
Shout out Abby. She knew.
Title rank. Where would you put Fast and Furious 6?
Kind of lame. Like,
Kind
if
of
you're
the
gonna go
worst
to
one,
it
maybe?
now, okay, because like it should have been this naming convention the whole time.
Right. Because I mean, this is the one that makes the most sense.
But now you're doing it at 6.
Not
Lame.
good.
Bottom. I don't care what the last one is, but below it.
All right, they're good guys. They're facing off against Shaw. What's going to happen next time?
They're gonna freaking become family, I think.
Yes, and unfortunately, Paul Walker is going to pass away.
Oh my God! Wait, I forgot. Yeah.
This has been a fast conversation about the Fast and Furious 6. Beautiful.